What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort?
Okay, you ready to get controversial? Look, okay, if you're new here, I play devil's advocate. I'm not saying you should kill Paarthurnax. What I am going to do is list every reason you could possibly have to kill Paarthurnax. In order to make the official decision in a couple of weeks, I want to make sure that I have both sides of the argument. Don't worry, okay? I will be doing a video next week on all the reasons you should ignore the blades, or worse. So don't worry if the thought of killing Paarthurnax makes you sick. We aren't making our decision today. Even so, let's be honest. If the mere thought of reasons you should kill Paarthurnax is enough to make you angry, maybe you're just afraid of what you'll hear. So if you're not afraid, well, let's get into it with 10 reasons you should kill Paarthurnax. Reason number 1, accountability. Okay, we're gonna start off strong.
Here's the big picture. He helped Alduin enslave our ancestors.
This reason should be obvious, right? Even though this is the reason they state most often in the game, I always hate using it because that makes it so overused and shallow. But we still gotta go over it for the sake of the list. Let's use an analogy here to try and keep it fresh. What if you found Hitler living on top of a mountain, but he didn't tell you his name, and he was like really chill, and you didn't recognize him, and he was in charge of some monks who helped you out, and he knew some philosophy and taught you to be a better person and helped you on your journey? Well, it's obvious, right? Once you learned who he was, you'd turn him into the appropriate authorities and you'd try to shake off that you just hung out with and maybe even vibed with one of the most prolific killers who has ever lived.
Paarthurnax was the author of many atrocities during the Dragon War, crimes great enough to be remembered for thousands of years. True, he turned traitor to Alduin and helped overthrow the dragon cult, but that does not excuse or expiate his previous deeds.
Now, here's the rub. What if you somehow had the exact same scenario, but in the year 6445? I don't know for sure, but I imagine it's possible that most people would have forgotten about World War II by then, even Hitler himself and the Holocaust. So you would meet this guy, and again, just assume he's super chill and relatable. And then someone would be like, oh, that guy? Yeah, he was responsible for the deaths of millions of people. Yeah, he set up a whole system of basically using them as slaves and then killing them when they weren't useful anymore.
Justice demands that he die for his crimes.
And he's not just any dragon. He was the right hand of Alduin. He helped Alduin enslave our ancestors.
I mean, look, it's just an objectively correct take. I'm sorry, I know you hate to hear it, but Alduin set up a system of enslaving humans, and when they weren't useful anymore or when they fought back, he would kill them. And who helped him do that? Paarthurnax. That period lasted for centuries. He is guilty of an unimaginable list of crimes. If you have the power to, you should hold him responsible, even if that responsibility began 4,000 years ago. And that's nothing to what could happen in the future, because reason number 2, there's always the threat of relapse.
Whether or not he has truly repented or merely acted to save himself, justice demands that he pay with his life.
Now, in addition to holding a criminal responsible for their actions, the second most important reason is, of course, the need to stop them from being a repeat offender. According to Elder Scrolls history, the dragons were peaceful for a very long time before deciding one day, for no reason at all, to become a brutal slave empire over all of mankind, possibly for hundreds of years. Here again, I feel like I have to point this out even if it is common sense. Paarthurnax himself will warn you to never trust a dragon, including him.
The blades are wise not to trust me. Onikan Miov. I would not trust another Dova.
He implies that killing him is just common sense because of his nature. And, well, that's because it is.
We were made to dominate. The will to power is in our blood. It is always wise to mistrust a Dova.
If you knew a dog would maul you or a family member, like you 100% knew it, like it was a robot dog, and the builder told you there was a 100% certainty it would happen, but he could not tell you when or why. The chance is low, but never zero. It's always there, and on a long enough timeline, it will happen. That is Paarthurnax, the peaceful dragon. He is eternal. He's at least 5,000 years old, but could be as old as 10,000 years. And he tells you he's going to relapse. He says he was created for violence.
No day goes by where I am not tempted to return to my inborn nature.
The only thing you are doing by letting him go is ensuring that someone, someday, though it might not be you, will be violently accosted by him. On a long enough timeline, this dragon will act like, wait for it, a dragon. If you care about the safety of mankind, he has got to go. After you are gone, who knows? He might attack at a time where there is no dragonborn, and he could literally enslave the entire world if you just let him hang because you thought, well, he seems like a chill guy. Imagine explaining your reasoning to someone whose soul gets eaten in 900 years because you thought he would just be chill forever. And then imagine if you actually followed through, because reason number 3, you need to secure your legacy as Dragonborn. Now, this is a little bit of an extension of the last point. In the same way you should imagine being in Sovngarde telling the victims of fallen Paarthurnax that he was just so chill, and you decided to not kill him, and you're really sorry you didn't think that it would happen in 1,000 years. You should imagine yourself instead in the halls of Shore with other Dragonborn heroes doing the opposite and telling them about how you're the Dragonborn who actually finished off the Dragon Menace. We actually have a pretty good example of this with, and I'm probably going to butcher their name, Gormlaith, Hakon, and Feldir, the original 3 Dragonborns that got you into this mess. I know the game doesn't give you the option to do this, but I, for one, have a couple of questions I'd like to ask these 3. I know they didn't mean to, but they really shit the bed, didn't they? Not only did they somehow throw Alduin forward in time rather than finishing him off, but they didn't write down the Dragonren shout anywhere. I mean, really? You guys carved a wall that shows you using Dragonrend into stone, set up a bunch of traps to keep everyone out, left the temple on a mountain, and you didn't write down the word or how to use it? I wish you could just scream at these guys for being so stupid. Their weakness cost thousands of lives in Skyrim. And that exact same feeling that you should feel is how someone 1,000 years from Skyrim will feel about you if you're dumb enough to leave the second worst dragon who ever lived alive on a mountaintop because he has a few neat quotes. If you want to be remembered as the Dragonborn who ended the dragon crisis, well, maybe you should get rid of all the dragons and finish the job. Otherwise, you'll be remembered as the Dragonborn who dropped the ball instead. And that's to say nothing of your divine mandate, since reason number 4, this is fulfilling your ultimate purpose. Now, this reason is a little more straightforward, a little more utilitarian than the ones I've given so far. It's simple. Imagine there was a bounty on grasshoppers or something. Now, for the sakes of the argument, these grasshoppers destroy entire villages with everyone in them. And for whatever reason, the gods literally made you to kill these grasshoppers. Plus, every grasshopper you bring in, you get a cool $100. Sure, there's no shortage of grasshoppers. You will literally never run out, and therefore, you might think of the money as worthless because you can easily get so much of it. However, imagine there was a grasshopper that lived on the top of Mount Everest. And for the sake of this argument, he was a real homie. A real Jiminy Cricket, if you will.
Why are you holding that mallet?
I don't know.
And you could sit up there and talk to him for hours. Sure, I mean, it might be nice to keep him around for a little bit, but $100 is $100. And the grasshoppers need to be eradicated. You are a certified Hopperborn, created by the gods to exterminate the grasshoppers. Plus, in this case, from a role-playing perspective, Paarthurnax's soul's gotta be like some kind of slow smoke barbecue or some shit, because he is ancient, and he has killed a lot of people in his time. Truly a grade A $100 bill, maybe a $100 bill worth $150, who knows? It's not only what the gods put you here, and your entire divine purpose, but you get rewarded for it. And this little analogy also points to another reason, with reason number 5, how much would you really miss him? So let's stick to our little example for just a little longer. You have a bounty on grasshoppers. You have Jiminy Cricket sitting on top of Mount Everest.
Are you going to hurt me with that, Pinocchio?
No.
Maybe the novelty of him is enough to keep him alive, right? But that begs the question, how many times are you going to head up to the mountain's peak? Now, granted, it takes a lot more effort to get to Mount Everest in real life than it does to fast travel up to High Hrothgar. But even so, answer this. On your latest playthrough, be honest, if there wasn't a quest that took you to the throat of the world, how many times did you go up there and have a chat with Paarthurnax? For me, it's never. I finish the main quest and I don't go back. There could be a killer clown on top of that mountain and I'd never know. I start worshiping Sithis, I join the Thieves Guild, I do the Civil War, and I never, and I mean never, return to my boy Paarthurnax. So if you don't even remember your friend and you never visit him, at least admit this. To you, the player, during your playthrough, the principle of the argument might matter, but the actual impact on you as to whether or not he is alive on that mountain doesn't matter, because you never bother to check.
3.
And now we have to get into the actual reasons in the game, because reason number 6, you really want to never have the blades come back? Now look, I, like many of you, usually don't kill Paarthurnax. Let's be honest. He's just too cute. So I, like many of you, never really invested in the quest where you restore the blades. But lucky for you, I did it just for this video so we could see and investigate the possibility. And let me tell you, it's pretty fun. This game from 2011 somehow made building an army more fun than building the Minutemen in Fallout 4. Suddenly, everything in Skyrim makes sense. For example, do you know how many uniquely named NPCs there are? 65. Just kidding. There's 1,320. That's a lot, man. 65 is just the number of people who can be your companion in the game. And I always wondered why there were that many unique followers. Why would we ever need that many? Fallout 4 has 13 companions, and that feels like too many. And then I did the Rebuilding the Blades quest, and suddenly it all made sense. Unlike Rebuilding the Minutemen, where you don't really get to know anyone and people just kind of appear with the name Minutemen, these feel a little bit like real people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a game from 2011, but for what it is, every companion has a story, and you have to go out into the world and find them, relate to them, and then convince them to trust you and convince them to join the Blades. And you only get to choose 3 people to join your ranks as dragon hunters, so choose wisely. Genuinely, this is a fun quest. Once you play it, you'll understand. And what's more, from a role-playing perspective, it just makes sense. One of the comments I see over and over again is some variation of, well, with the Dragonborn on their side, this faction can really do anything. And you're right. Like, if you support Ulfric, but you think the Stormcloaks could never take all of Skyrim, don't worry, you have a Dragonborn. If you think the college quest is fun, but it makes no sense because the objects are too powerful for any one person to control, well, have no fear, you're the Dragonborn. There is no problem too large for the Dragonborn to overcome. Yet, we really don't have a lot of things in the game that we are allowed to build up in the same way, where you start from zero and you build it into a true legend. Except for these guys, you're dragon hunters, followers of the Dragonborn. Besides being fun, there's also one other important reason to rebuild the Blades, and that's reason number 7. The world needs dragon hunters. Look, I'll admit it, I don't know what Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be like, but personally, I can't really see Bethesda putting this back in the bottle and being like, dragons were a Skyrim only thing. We're actually all done with dragons. So if dragons are going to be a permanent part of the Elder Scrolls universe moving forward, you need to ask yourself, how is everyone going to deal with that? We have dedicated witch hunters, we have dedicated vampire hunters, we have dedicated werewolf hunters, we have dedicated Daedra hunters. Where are the dedicated dragon hunters? Oh, sorry, there actually aren't any, because the Dragonborn spoke to one dragon like 10 times and decided there didn't need to be any dragon hunters at all. Come on, bro, lock in, okay? The world isn't saved until you find a permanent solution to the dragon problem, so you better find one. Yeah, everyone is glad that Alduin is gone, but that can't be the end of the Dragonborn's tale. You need to take it all the way to the conclusion. If you're really going to let anything, let alone someone with 30 minutes of dialogue, stop you from that, well then maybe you should just leave Alduin alive too. Maybe the world doesn't need dragon hunters. Maybe we can all just be like Paarthurnax and get along. Do you hear yourself right now? You sound silly. This is a world where the best companion was ripped into existence by a demon from hell, where you can sacrifice people to a cannibal demon. Do you really think the Elder Scrolls is a better place because you run around saying, oh boy, this dragon slave owner genocider sure is a swell guy. I hope refusing to kill him and build up the dragon hunters doesn't have any drastic consequences down the road. And let's explore the idea that Paarthurnax is a nice guy, because you probably won't be so convinced once you hear reason number 8. He aims to rule the surviving dragons. Okay, this has always reminded me of the Yes Man ending from Fallout New Vegas, where at the very end, after you've done all the work and the end fight is over, and Yes Man's just like, hey, I'm going to tweak my code to be more assertive. And then the game just ends.
I found some code snippets in one of Mr. House's databanks that will let me, reprogram my personality to be a little more assertive, basically.
This gets endlessly debated by fans. This is the same energy as Paarthurnax when you leave Alduin, and he's like,
Many Avendovae are now scattered across Kizal. Without Alduin's lordship, they may yet bow to the Varzen, brightness of my Thum. But willing or no, they will hear it. Fare thee well, Dovahkiin.
like, surely nothing will go wrong with that, right? We already went over this, but Paarthurnax himself openly admits that his own nature is to kill and oppress other people. Maybe you buy the idea that he can just resist his natural urges for the rest of all eternity.
We were made to dominate. The will to power is in our blood. You feel it in yourself, do you not? I have overcome my nature only through meditation and long study of the way of the voice.
But would you still think he could resist if he had a few thousand dragons following him? I mean, really. Again, remember, these guys are immortal. When the Dragonborn has been dead for 10,000 years, Paarthurnax will still be hanging out with his army of dragons you allowed him to rebuild. You don't think there's a chance ever that one of them convinces him that he's wrong and suddenly there's an apocalypse army of dragons flying around Tamriel? I mean, remember my Hitler example. Okay, so imagine you find Hitler after 5,000 years, and in addition to being left alive because one person met him and was like, oh, he's a chill guy, he also rebuilt the entire Third Reich too. You don't even have an option to be like, Paarthurnax, my man, I actually don't think this is such a good idea. How has no one realized in the 15 years since this game dropped that this is supposed to flow narratively? You approach the end of the main quest, and right before you go to kill the main bad guy, a girl who's supposed to be your friend is like, hey, you can't trust Paarthurnax. And then 5 minutes later, after the biggest bad guy in the entire game is removed, that same dragon is suddenly like,
hey, I'm gonna build an army of dragons. Don't worry, we'll all be super chill and shit, okay? Alright, see ya, bye.
And if he somehow does succeed in changing those dragons against their very nature to follow him, that's even worse. Because reason number 9, tyranny by a different name is still tyranny. Okay, so let's say he succeeds, right? He makes all these dragons peaceful. But now you just have a bunch of slaves. Instead of dragons enslaving humans, it's just dragons enslaving other dragons.
I doubt many will wish to exchange Alduin's lordship for the tyranny of Paarthurnax's way of the voice.
If you accept that dragons are worth saving, which you have to accept in order to keep Paarthurnax alive, then you must also think that keeping them as slaves would be wrong, right? I mean, really, this is the deal Paarthurnax is going to offer the other dragons, presumably with your help. He's gonna go,
hey, man, you wanna join some peaceful monks? Just remember, if the answer is no, I'm going to kill you. No, man, it's not like that. Don't think of it as an army. Just think of it as a club. But if you do anything I tell you not to, I will immediately kill you.
I mean, you get it, right? You've just taken the dragons, who are inarguably evil and predators, and somehow you made them the victims of slavery. If you do this, I guarantee you, in 200 years there will be another dragon uprising, and their argument won't even be bad. It'll go,
Hey, I'm not a bad guy. I just don't want to be forced to do what Paarthurnax tells me to do. You know what I mean?
and then eventually that argument will catch on, and boom, dragon civil war. I mean, genuinely, every way that I think about this, no matter how optimistic I try to be about Paarthurnax, this is a bad move if you want peace in the long term. It won't work. It's like trying to have a peaceful council of pit bulls run a government organization. Maybe you love them, maybe you trust them, but at the end of the day, these are apex predators. They are dominant by their very nature. Millions of years of selective genetics have made them want to dominate others. Why are you arguing for dragon rights? Are you stupid? And if that's not enough, there's one more reason why you should sidestep the whole Paarthurnax thing and his dragon council, with reason number 10. The next Alduin in waiting. Let's say it works, okay? You dismiss everything that I've said so far. There's no dragon civil war, the dragons don't think of it as slavery, and Paarthurnax doesn't get any ideas ever for the rest of eternity. Well, there's still one more risk, isn't there? It goes along with the last reason I just said, but what if it just wasn't Paarthurnax? There would still be slips in the cracks. Maybe there's a dragon who agrees to follow the way of the voice, but he just wants a little snack every once in a while. Or maybe there's a dragon who sees themselves as a vigilante and only kills criminals, but he doesn't follow the rule of law. Or maybe it's what I described before. Someone moves to replace Paarthurnax, or they just make a splinter group that does whatever they want. Look, it could be anything. The point is, you can't just have a large and growing population of dragons. They're dragons. Maybe Paarthurnax is a good guy, for real, but all it takes is one deciding to be the next Alduin, coming along and dethroning him. No matter which way you scratch it, leaving Paarthurnax, or any other dragon alive for that matter, is sowing the seeds of your own destruction, and maybe you shouldn't do it.
And there it is, friends. The ugly truth.
10 reasons you should kill Paarthurnax. Now, remember, before you go and run to the comments, this is not meant to be a video that gives you the end answer. This is just a steel man for the position of why you would want to kill Paarthurnax. Next week, I will do the same thing and destroy the blades as we see them in Skyrim. And the week after that, we will decide the absolute correct answer. If you want to be here for it, subscribe. And if you want to try and convince me one way or the other, throw something down in the comments.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
I make video game content every week, so if you liked what you saw, get a tattoo of a dragon named Sistil Ravenrock and subscribe. It really helps with the channel. And until next time, I'll see you around.